I was 24, living alone in a small one-bedroom apartment I'd rented after a bad breakup. I worked the night shift at a 24-hour grocery store, and when I got home in the early morning, the only thing that helped me unwind was gaming. At the time, I was obsessed with this older co-op survival game. It wasn't popular anymore, but I loved its eerie, quiet atmosphere. It had a split-screen option, and even though I played solo, I liked keeping the second player's view on screen. I don't know why. Maybe it made the place feel less empty. 1. Morning after work, I microwaved some leftover pasta and booted up the game. My routine was always the same. Controller in one hand, food in the other. Lights off except for the faint kitchen glow. The second player's screen stayed empty, just the default view from their spawn point in a dim virtual cabin. But that day, something was off. I was halfway through a level, creeping through a crumbling barn in-game, when I noticed movement on the second player's screen. At first, I figured I'd accidentally activated the second controller somehow. I picked it up, but it was off. Batteries dead. I turned it over in my hand and stared at the screen. The second player's camera slowly panned, as if someone was manually looking around. I paused the game, thinking maybe it was some weird AI glitch, but when I unpaused, the camera shifted again. Smooth, intentional, like someone was exploring. I restarted the console. After it rebooted, everything seemed normal. I told myself I'd imagined it. Maybe my tired brain was playing tricks after a long shift. I got back to playing, ignoring the second screen this time. But as I pushed through the level, I noticed that second camera moving again. This time it was tracking me. Whoever, or whatever, was controlling it was following my character from a distance, not attacking, not interacting, just watching. I turned off the console and left it off for a few days, but I couldn't shake the feeling. A week later, curiosity got the better of me. I turned the game back on, this time without the second screen. Everything seemed fine until I heard it. Soft footsteps behind my character. I spun around, but no enemies were there. Still, the game's faint ambient sounds, cicadas, creaking wood, were interrupted by a second set of footsteps whenever I moved. The next morning, something small and strange happened. My TV was on when I woke up. I never leave it on. The console was at the home screen for the game. Maybe I'd rolled over on the remote. Maybe I'd dreamed turning it off. But that night, I unplugged everything before bed. A few days later, I was off work and bored, so I invited my friend Matt over. I didn't mention any of this, didn't want to sound crazy. We decided to play the game together for old time's sake. He picked up the second controller and we started a new level. Everything was fine until Matt stopped moving. "Dude, are you messing with me?" he asked. "What? Why are you walking behind me like that?" "I'm not. I'm up ahead." We looked at the screen. There was a third player, just standing a few feet back, in the shadows. The game doesn't support more than 2 players. We both stared, silent. The third figure didn't move. I paused the game. It vanished. Matt put down the controller and said, "That's enough for me." After he left, I deleted the game. That night, I woke up to the sound of faint beeping. I walked into the living room and felt a pit drop in my stomach. The console was on. The game, fully deleted, was running. And on the screen, split in 2, was the cabin again. Second player's screen was moving, slowly turning, scanning the room, searching for me. I yanked the plug from the wall. TV went dark. Silence. But the next day, I found the second controller, on the floor, batteries back in, fully charged. I live somewhere else now. Different city. I don't own a console anymore. But sometimes, late at night, I'll hear soft footsteps in the hallway. Not heavy, just the sound of someone exploring. Someone moving slow, careful, like they're still looking for player one. I never thought playing video games late at night could turn into a real nightmare. But that's exactly what happened to me. And I still don't know how to explain it. I was living in a small apartment near my college campus. My room was tiny, with just a bed, a desk, and my old TV hooked up to a game console. I didn't have many friends around because I kept to myself a lot, and gaming was my escape from everything stressful. One night, after studying for hours, I decided to relax by playing this online first-person shooter game I'd been into for months, the kind where you jump into a match with other players, working together or against each other. I loved how it made me forget real life. It was around midnight when I logged on. The usual sounds filled my headphones, the clicks of footsteps, the chatter of other players. I joined a team match, picking my favorite spot on the map, a small abandoned building that felt safe. We played for about an hour. I was doing well, getting some good kills, and the team was winning. The adrenaline made me feel awake, but I was also starting to get tired. Suddenly, I heard a voice in the chat that didn't belong to any player in my match. It wasn't the usual game voice or someone talking strategy. It was soft, calm, and clear, right in my ear. "Do you want to see something?" I froze. I looked at my mic. Off. I never talked in games, and I didn't want to now. The voice spoke again. "Check your messages." I pulled up the game's messaging system and found a message from a player I didn't know. The name was just a random mix of letters and numbers. The message was a photo attachment. I clicked it. My screen filled with a picture of my apartment building. Not some stock photo or image from the internet. This was definitely the front of my building. I recognized the cracked steps, the rusted mailbox, even the light flickering on the porch. I swallowed hard. How did someone get this? Was it a prank? Was someone watching me? Then another message popped up. "I'm outside." I jumped up from my chair. My heart was pounding. I looked over at the window beside my desk. It was pitch black outside, no one there. I told myself it was a joke, some hacker playing games to scare people. I closed the messages and tried to focus on the game again. My hands shook as I moved my character, but I kept playing. A few minutes passed. Then my phone buzzed. I didn't recognize the number. I opened. The text. "I'm at your door." I looked over again at the door to my apartment. It was closed, locked. I didn't hear a knock. I wanted to call the police, but my phone battery was low, and I had no charger in my room. I felt trapped. I typed, "Back. Who is this?" No reply. I tried to stay calm, thinking maybe it was a prank from someone in my dorm, but I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was really outside, watching me. Then my game froze. The screen went black. For a moment I thought my console crashed. But then a message appeared on the screen, typed in slow white letters. "Look, behind you." I spun around. The door was still closed. No one there. I backed away from the desk, heart racing, eyes darting to every corner of the room. The message on the screen changed. "Why won't you open the door?" I felt sick. I grabbed my phone and called the building's front desk. The clerk said no one had come in or out in the last hour. I checked all the windows. Locked. No way in. I sat back down at my desk, shaking. The game screen stayed frozen on the last message. Then, after a few minutes, it switched back to the main menu. I shut everything off, unplugged the console. I didn't sleep that night. The next day I went to class, but I kept looking over my shoulder. I told my roommate, but he just laughed it off. Said I was imagining things because I stayed up too late gaming. A few nights later, I tried to go back to the game, just to see if it was really over. I logged in. The same player was online. I didn't want to message, but curiosity mixed with fear made me type, "Who are you?" The reply came instantly. "Someone who knows where you live." I closed the game. That was when I started noticing small things. Doors left unlocked when I was sure I locked them. Lights flickering for no reason. The feeling of being watched. Never saw anyone around, but my anxiety was eating me alive. One evening I decided to check my front porch. There was a note stuck to the door. It said only one word: "Game over." My hands trembled as I folded it up. I haven't gone back to that game since. Sometimes, when I'm alone at night, my phone lights up with a message from that unknown number. No words, just a picture. A photo of the door behind me. I'm not really a social person. I usually play video games alone in my apartment, where it's quiet and safe. But one night, a game I love turned my safe space into something I couldn't explain. It started on a weekend when I decided to try out a new multiplayer game. It was a survival game where players start in a big hotel lobby and have to find their way out while avoiding dangers. I liked the game's slow pace and the way you had to watch your back. That night, I logged in around 10 p.m. The apartment was dark except for the TV. My phone was on silent, and I had snacks nearby. I told myself it would be just one quick game. The lobby in the game was huge. Marble floors, tall columns, grand chandeliers, and endless hallways. I spawned near the front desk, and I saw other players moving around on the screen. Everyone was cautious, trying to find exits. After a few minutes, I noticed a player with the username Silent Walker following me. I didn't say anything. I wasn't interested in teaming up, and in games like this, following someone can be a way to attack later. But Silent Walker didn't attack. They just stayed behind me, always a few steps away, never speaking in chat. I tried to lose them by running to the other side of the lobby, but they were there. I turned corners, checked rooms, but every time I looked back, Silent Walker was still there, watching. That started to feel creepy, but I told myself it was just a player trying to scare me. Then, out of nowhere, my game glitched. The screen froze for a moment. When it came back, I wasn't in the lobby anymore. Instead, I was in a small, empty room. A virtual storage closet with peeling paint and a single flickering light bulb. I tried to move, but my character didn't respond. The game chat flashed a message from Silent Walker. "Do you see me now?" I stared at the screen. My heart sped up. Suddenly, the game camera turned slowly. It was pointed at the corner of the room, where a figure stood. Not a character in the game, but a real human. It was a man, wearing a dark hoodie, his face half hidden, in shadow. My stomach dropped. I didn't know how it was possible, but it looked like someone was streaming live video inside the game. Someone was watching me. The figure didn't move, just stared straight at the camera. I unmuted my mic, voice shaking. "Who are you? What do you want?" No reply. Then the man raised his hand slowly and pointed at me. A chill went down my spine. The screen went black. For a minute, nothing. Then a new message appeared. "Look outside." I hesitated, then glanced over at my window. The street was quiet. The building opposite was dark, but something made me look closer. There was a shadow standing, just across the street, a figure in a hoodie watching my window. I grabbed my phone, but no signal. The power flickered. I heard a faint knock at my front door. My hands were shaking so badly I couldn't stand. I stayed frozen, not sure if I should open the door or run. Knocking stopped. I waited minutes, then crept to the peephole. No one there. I called a friend and told him what happened. He said I was probably just tired, that games can mess with your head. But I knew what I saw. After that night, I couldn't play that game again. Sometimes, when I'm home alone and the lights go out, I swear I hear faint footsteps outside my door, like someone is still waiting, watching, playing the real game with me. I'm not superstitious, but after what happened, I don't know what to believe. It started with a glitch in a game, but it turned into something that still haunts me. I live alone in a small apartment on the 4th floor. I work a regular job. During the day and at night, I unwind by playing an online open-world game. The game is huge, with a lot of players, and you can explore cities, forests, and even empty roads. One evening, around 11 p.m., I logged in as usual. My apartment was quiet except for the soft hum of my computer. I had just gotten a new headset, so I wanted to try it out with my favorite game. I started exploring a forest area in the game, a place I liked because it was peaceful and empty most of the time. I walked through tall trees, listening to birds and the sound of my character's footsteps on leaves. Suddenly, my screen flickered. For a moment, everything froze. Then, the screen showed something strange. The camera shifted from my character to a small clearing I hadn't been to before. And there, standing in the middle of the clearing, was a figure. Not a game character. Not an NPC. A real person. The figure was blurry at first, but then it came into focus. A man in a dark jacket, his face turned away. My heart started pounding. I tried to control my character, but the game didn't respond. The figure in the clearing slowly turned toward the camera. I swear, his face was empty, like a mask with no eyes. The screen went black for a second. Then, text appeared. "Do you see me?" I pulled off my headset, confused and a little scared. Maybe it was a glitch or a prank by another player. I closed the game and went to bed, but I couldn't sleep. The next day, I checked the game's forums to see if anyone else saw the glitch. Some players mentioned weird bugs, but no one talked about a figure like mine. That night, I logged back in, hoping it was just a one-time thing. I entered the forest again, this time cautiously. I heard footsteps behind me, but when I turned, no one was there. Suddenly, my screen flashed again, and the same clearing appeared. The figure was there again, but this time, he took a step closer. The text appeared again. "I'm closer now." I felt my hands get sweaty. I tried to log out, but the game froze. Then, my headphones picked up a faint voice. Not from the game, but real. A whisper. "Why are you running?" I yanked off my headphones, breathing hard. I told myself it was my imagination. But the next morning, I found a note slipped under my door. It said only one sentence. "I'm watching." No signature. I called the building's front desk. They said no one had been in or out late at night. I told my friends, but they laughed it off. The next night, I didn't play the game. But around midnight, my phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Just one word. "Come." I didn't reply. The power in my apartment flickered. Then, outside my window, I saw a shadow move. I turned away fast, but the feeling of being watched stayed with me. I haven't played the game since. But sometimes, when I close my eyes, I see that empty face in the clearing, staring back. I never expected a video game to make me feel this afraid. It wasn't about monsters or ghosts, just people, and the way things can go wrong when you least expect it. I live in a small apartment above a quiet street. I work nights at a convenience store, so during the day I sleep, and at night I play video games to stay awake. One night, I was playing an online cooperative game. It's one of those games where you team up with strangers to survive waves of enemies. I liked it because it gave me a chance to talk to people and feel less alone during those long, lonely nights. That night, My team had 4 players. 3 of them talked a lot, chatting about the game, joking, sharing tips. But there was one player who never said a word. Just the username Silent Shade. No messages, no voice chat, nothing. At first, I didn't think much about it. Some players just don't talk. But as the game went on, Silent Shade kept doing strange things. Instead of helping, they would stay back, avoiding enemies. Sometimes they would even block the team's path by standing in doorways or in front of objectives. I tried to ignore it, focusing on the game. But then, near the end of the match, when we were almost winning, Silent Shade suddenly disappeared from the game. At first, I thought they just disconnected. But then, a new message popped up in the team chat. It wasn't typed, just a sound, like a faint whisper, barely audible but clear. It said, "I'm here." My heart jumped. I looked around my apartment, but no one was there. The other players didn't seem to notice. They kept playing, chatting as usual. I asked in the chat, "Who sent that?" No reply. Then the screen went dark. I tried to restart the game, but my console wouldn't turn on. I checked the power. Everything was fine. Suddenly my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Did you like the game?" I didn't reply. The lights in my apartment flickered. I heard footsteps outside my door. I froze. No one knocked. The footsteps stopped. I waited for what felt like forever. Finally, I checked the peephole. No one there. I locked the door again. I wanted to call the police, but my phone battery was low. I sat down, trying to calm my racing heart. Then, my console turned back on by itself. The screen showed the game lobby. Silent Shade was back online. I didn't want to play anymore. I turned off everything and went to bed, but I couldn't sleep. Later that night, I heard a soft tapping on my window. I looked over. Nothing. I pulled the curtain closed. I don't know who Silent Shade really was. I don't know how they knew where I lived. All I know is that some games are more than just games. And some players are more than just strangers. I'm still afraid to play online, because sometimes the quiet ones are the most dangerous.